All right, we are live. Yes, our smiley faces.
Remember, did y'all used to take pictures? Oh, y'all don't have go-go's everywhere, but in the go-go, this was the pose.
The old school pics. How you guys doing?
Good.
Really good.
Good. It's Black History Month, you guys. It's our month.
Good people.
There we go. There
Every
we
day.
go.
We celebrate all day, every day. I just want to give it a couple of seconds. We're going to get started real soon. Oh, wow. I can hear us. I don't want to hear us. Don't want to do that. How's everybody's Black History Month going so far?
Jasmine,
Been good. You know, 3 days in.
there we go. 3 days in, exactly. Feeling good about it. I think everyone is posting and posting and posting about Black History Month, which is awesome. I just hope that people know that it's not just a month, but it's all year. So,
Amen.
you know, and it feels good. So
Definitely. I feel like. Say that again.
I said we're still watching these brands who are doing all those black squares in June, seeing what they have up their sleeve this month.
Yeah, for sure. I just feel like there's a lot of more education going around with everybody. Big shout out to my best friend who has a daughter. She just turned 11. Oh my gosh. She turned 11. And so she's been taking pictures of her as different figures in Black history. So she did one of Fannie Lou Hamer. That was dope. And a lot of people don't even know about Fannie Lou Hamer. I was like, yes, that's my goddaughter. So I just love to see the education going around and people just really getting into this Black history and really realizing that Black history is American history. It's not separated.
that's right. That's right.
I'm here for it. But yeah, so Jasmine, I'll go ahead and shoot it over to you. We're going to go get into it.
Okay, so the other day I screamed. And my grandma was like, girl, what are you screaming about? Because Miss Cicely Tyson passed away. So rest in peace to a Hollywood legend. We give her all of our glory, all of our salutes. Thank you for her service, paving a way for Black actresses. Cicely was on, well, Miss Cicely, you can't be rude.
Yeah.
Cicely was on her book tour. She reluctantly wrote a book, Just As I Am, her memoir. It was on her book tour, and the day before she died, I think she died on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So Tuesday, she was being interviewed by Gail, and so it was a shocker to everyone. You know, she had a big role with Tyler Perry in his early films. So we just salute her. She also was in Roots, if you all didn't know. She was the Kinte's mother. So we just want to pay our respects to Cicely today.
96 years young.
96. And I mean, she did it all. And she was married to Miles Davis. So I'm sure they were hitting the streets hard back in the day. Having a good time.
Absolutely. Definitely R.I.P. Cicely.
Right.
Definitely haven't seen Sound or go see it.
They don't make them like her anymore. I really like the show that she did recently too, that Ava DuVernay put together, and she kind of played her role. She was playing an elderly actress woman that had a wealth of knowledge and knew all of. Imagine what her life was like, and all the famous people that she rubbed shoulders and elbows with, like,
and being in Scandal. That was good. Or no, How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah,
that was good.
Definitely. Hey, Bobby Boy Bob.
What's happening? How y'all doing? I hate to jump in. Happy Black History Month. I hate to jump in. It's such a sad time, but yeah, Cicely Tyson passing away. That was sad. I chuckled a little bit because Jasmine was like, "How to Get Away with Murder." Out of all the things he did, you think of it How to Get Away with Murder?
I started with Roots. Okay.
You started. I missed that part.
Had an amazing career. So
she got popular off of the autobiography of Jane Pittman. Did you all catch that back in the day? Or
back in the day, I think we got it in school.
We were. I don't think any of us were born when it was out.
That's one of those that I had to go back and watch, along with Roots. Like, you know, I was too young to understand, but I remember I think all of our parents like made us sit down and watch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like this
Speaking of Black,
I didn't need that. Yeah,
I watched it when I was 6 and I had to adjust to white people growing up.
Yeah, it definitely. You know what? People like.
So that's a topic right there, right? It just came to me right now since it's Black History Month. I remember What is his name? They're from Drumline. What is his name? He
Nick
wears
Cannon?
the Nick Cannon. You know, he borderline Hotep right now, right?
Yeah.
So he came out and he was saying that we as a community no longer need slave narratives. We don't need to watch slave movies. That's the past. We need to move on. And then there's another school of thought that's like, that's our history. We need to make sure the younger generation understands that A, it wasn't that long ago, and B, like that's a part of it. So how
Yeah.
do you guys feel about that? Are you like, because I don't watch movies like Four Colored Girls. That just be making me sad. So like, how do y'all feel about those type of movies?
Christian?
Yeah, definitely. You know, as a history teacher, I make sure I play roots. I do, what is it, 12 Years a Slave,
Mm.
or is it 6 years a slave? 12 years a slave. I do the roots. There's a series called The Roots. I think that with history, it is,
Gates,
you know, say it again.
Henry Louis Gates.
Yes, yes.
Love
And
him.
there are different narratives that we tend to think that should not be included. But however, like people, when I'm showing community college students, they never knew anything about some of this stuff. So imagine learning this stuff in elementary or learning it in middle school. These type of narratives have to be fixed earlier. Except, you know, we get it at home, but if you're actually learning it in a school environment, you know, it's a different type of scholastic adventure that one is able to take on, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that through our technical curriculum, it's not really taught. So I would say that we need to continue with these slave narratives.
How you feel, Sharik? You
Um,
watching the slave movies?
as a person who's very in the film industry, very much so in the film industry,
Yeah.
especially with independent films, I'm kind of over it, to be completely honest. But this is from a perspective of someone who was raised in Oakland and Berkeley, who came out the gate with a plethora of this information being fed to me on a regular basis. To me, it's traumatic. There's still certain movies I won't watch. Like When They See Us, I can't watch that movie.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just
I can't
me
watch that.
personally. I just, the triggers, it really affects me. And I have to, you know, as Gigi says, hi Gigi, I have to protect my peace. But I do feel as though, you know, it's important for other people to learn, and those who need to seek the knowledge should seek the knowledge. And I'm definitely open to having conversations and educating people. But me personally, I don't need to see it anymore.
So you saying you already had enough of it, so you ready to like move on to the next step?
Yeah,
Okay.
and, you know, and it's actually it's in the Black cinema community. It's very much so a topic that we discuss quite often. How there's a article going around about Black movies that aren't related to porn. I mean, trauma. They call it trauma.
Freudian slip. Was that a Freudian slip now?
I was about to say porn before I said trauma. So, you know, so we want to see different narratives, and we got notebooks, love stories too. You know what I'm saying? You know, so it's just, we want to see something different, but we do have to acknowledge it at the same time. But I just want to see more, basically.
Okay. How you feel about it, Jazz?
I think it's a balance. I don't mind slave movies. I think it can be a different perspective. Like, let's talk about, you know, someone that ran away and they actually escaped. You know, you know what movie was good or show was good? The Underground, that was on WGN. So
I didn't really like it. Okay.
I love that.
Okay. I'll rewatch it.
Look, we're gonna start talking about TV. We all on script. But I think that it's a story. It's our history. I think that there are different narratives that we can spin and kind of have different perspectives of the slave era. I don't think we should necessarily take it all away, but just give us more stories other than us being beaten.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm sorry, I know we way off script, but it's Sharik and Christian's fault. Y'all got me started. You made me think of something else. So coming from a history perspective, coming from a film industry perspective, and Jasmine, like we watch it too. I've heard stories about just the divide in our community when it comes to Tyler Perry. There's this line in the sand that some people believe that he just makes coon movies for the white gays. And there are other people that are saying, like, you know, his characters are actually representative of some people in our community. That's like the top level argument. And then down here, it's like, oh, well, he don't pay his Black actors enough. He need to be paying more. But then his defense is like, Disney don't pay the Disney stars either. So how do y'all feel with y'all expertise? How y'all feel about Tyler Perry?
Well, I'll start. because
Okay.
they were talking about Sicily, right?
Yeah.
He was paying her more than what she would ask for because he knew that she wasn't getting her rate on other sets and throughout her career. So he kind of, put money back in her pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Perry as a whole, I love his plays, but I think when it got to be TV and film, it kind of lost its edge a little bit. There are some TV shows that I do watch. I won't say that I thoroughly enjoy them. But I don't mind Tyler Perry. Let that man get his money. I think that it's a story for everyone. Like either you're going to entertain me or you're going to blow my day. So.
Okay. Hold on. Do we want to go to Christian? I feel like Sharik got a monologue ready for. She got feelings. You want to go next? You want Christian?
Let's go to Christian.
Okay. Let's go to Christian first.
Well, first and foremost, Tyler Perry's been up for the Entertainer of the Year for the NAACP Award, so woo-woo, shout out to him. I would say, because I have this argument with my cousins as well, coming from the church, Tyler Perry and the plays, like Jasmine was saying, it was popping. So, it was good. It was, had the singing, had the songs. I love Pamela Man. I don't know, I just like plays. So, when we transition into these movies, into this, to the TV shows, they kind of lost me, whatnot. However, for him to be able to really catapult a lot of Black actors and who they are today is a straight up blessing, right? And so there is this narrative because my cousins, they feel as if he portrays Black people in the worst way or in negative way. You have Medea, and Medea is that ghetto auntie or whatever you want to say, and and so I think personally, he said he don't love his actors because of them wigs. Now
They'd be horrible. They be having the little thing. They be having afros with the wig afro. I'd be like, oh nah.
Hey, he's paved the way. So I'm Team Tyler. Got his own studio. I say go for it. I think that I'll leave that alone. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can we get the zoom in on Sharik? Because I'm excited about this take right here from the film expert. Let's get the inside scoop.
Okay, so one, not everyone is this Black intellectual or pseudo intellectual. We're not a monolith. There's different types of Black people throughout the country. So not everyone is going to look at it and want to see a Spike Lee movie or a John Singleton film. They want to be entertained. Two, Tyler Perry models a lot of his characters based upon real life experiences that he had. If you've ever watched any of his interviews, he talks about his mother, his aunties, and how he derived Medea specifically from these different characters. I got a Medea in my family. I'm not necessarily going to she be at the cookout, but she not necessarily gonna come to the dinners with the cutlery and the napkins, but she gonna be at the cookout. So you just have to put people in certain divisions and certain categories. We're not monolithic people. With that being said, originally I did not like Tyler Perry. I'll be honest. But as I learned more about his story and I saw what he was doing, and then when he opened up the studio and gave Will Smith his own studio, his own stage, Oprah got her own stage, Sidney Poitier got his own stage. He really does it for the culture. A lot of his movies, I think, are traumatic. They fall into that Black trauma porn category. And then I think he objectifies men, but that's different than what everyone's doing. The men always got their shirts off. They
always baby oil down. You're right.
So there's definitely a genre that he's created in a lane for Black women. So that's really what it's about. They are our stories. We like to watch our stories. So
how do you feel about acrimony?
Child, we ain't
I like it. I just like Taraji. So I was still a supporter. The ending kind of threw me for a loop, but it still don't even know. Still don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Jamar Ford is his favorite actor. He got that man on retainer or something.
All right. Well,
the baby oil.
Guys, but I'm glad we had that little banter because that's gonna be another topic that we'll be able to go in depth into. But I definitely want to get into some of these news topics and finish these up as we go into where the money resides, because we still gonna talk about that, y'all. So I know if you guys have been paying attention, but Biden's COVID relief bill is a very hot topic at the moment. He met with the Democratic senators today. They had a wonderful conversation, and it looks as though things are planning to move forward. However, your boys in the red over there on the right are like, nah, we're not dealing with this COVID relief bill. So for Biden, he thinks it's very important for him to keep his promise. And one of the promises that he made, I know you guys want y'all stimulus checks, the rest of it rather, because we only got 600, but the promise was 2,000. So he wants to still give the $1,400 stimulus to the rest of the Americans who make below the threshold, which is $75,000 for a single person, $150 if you're married. Also, it's $1.9 trillion that he's planning for this particular bill. GOP is like, nope, let's do 618 billion. So billion versus trillions. So Biden is really trying to move forward, and he wants to kind of break the divide between the GOP and the Democrats, but it seems as though it's not going to happen. I personally think that it's very unfair. And I think that when Trump was in office and he was making all of these tax cuts, he was, we stimulate these large companies. Why can't we stimulate middle class America and lower class America? And I just think I'm sad because I feel like we're still going to have this division within our political infrastructure that's going to keep the little guys broke. What do you guys think? Christian?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I just want my stimulus check, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Like, that's what, there's a meme going around, floating around saying, Joe, they're calling about their money, Joe. They're calling about their money. And that's me. I am tagging, trying to figure out when is that coming in. For the last year, it's been a struggle. I don't know about for you guys, but just, people are out here literally on unemployment. They don't have enough money to pay their rent. They can't put food on their table. There's so many food drives going around across the country to where it's like, if we can just pass this money to get it through, that would be amazing. I think if we look at Amazon is over $1 trillion, right? So all these big companies are getting all these tax cuts. I was reading an article earlier today. They've gotten all these tax cuts, but the American working person still does not, can't even pay the rent. And so for myself, I think that I am all about Biden's COVID relief plan and his bill. And I think that we need to implement that as soon as possible, especially my stimulus check. Amen.
Yours.
I think it's taboo in our community to talk about money. And I'm glad we're having this topic today, and it's going to be part of our entire series. And I'll get more into that. But if you're broke in the Black community a lot of times, and it's not all the time, it's cool to say. You can talk about how broke you are. You can talk about your struggle. But if you have some money, it's taboo. It's like, oh, you think you're better than somebody. Yeah. You think that it's problematic. And so I preface my statement with this. Thankfully, I'm a person that throughout the COVID pandemic, I have a job where I can work from home. So my job, I've been working, and for me, it's been better because I've just been saving. I don't have anything to spend money on. I'm just at home. And we see that divide in America. And I think that, yes, the big corporations are making a lot of money. But I think it's anybody that's like a professional. If you can work from a laptop, you're probably better off than you were before. It's the people that can't work from a laptop. And so we need to find ways in our community to kind of like balance out the equities. Because for me, I don't need the $600, but I'm gonna take the $600. No, I'm keeping that. I'm keeping that $600. I'm keeping the $1,200. I'm keeping the $1,200. I'm keeping the $600. I'm keeping it all. And so I won't get too in the weeds, but like Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, he always talks about how we need tax reform because he pays less tax than his assistant, and he's a billionaire. And so there's different loopholes that like super rich companies can take advantage of. There's loopholes that people can take advantage of. We're talking about Jeff Bezos stepping down as CEO, but when you have stock options, you're not paying the same taxes as if you actually had income and money. But those stock options are worth money. So when we say he's the richest man in the world, it's not because he has billions in his bank account. It's because he has stock options. But he's not paying taxes on that. Like, these are things that we should think about as a community and maybe like change some of the rules and change some of the laws. But going back to the specific stimulus plan at hand, I want it to pass because I too am with Christian. Run me my money. Everything I said is cute, but you promise it to me, I'm gonna need all of it.
That part. That part.
That part.
So moving right along, speaking of billions of dollars and stock options and I'm just super excited because I personally do use this particular service. And I just definitely want to give a shout out to Mr. Tobe Awatona, making sure I don't butcher his name. He is the Black CEO of Calendly. If any of you guys don't use Calendly, if you're a business person or just somebody who likes to keep your schedule together, I live by this app. So I was super excited to learn not only is it Black owned, but this brother just hit the 3 billion mark in terms of what his company is now worth. I thought it was really, really important for us to know this and to understand VCs and seed rounds of funding. I'm actually learning about it more and more every single day. And to know that he had a very difficult time actually getting his first seed round when he was first getting in the game, as does most African Americans who are in this field. Just being in the startup world and learning more about it, it's very unbalanced, extremely unbalanced. So to see this and to see Black Twitter and Facebook and Instagram really celebrating this man, and it's Black History Month on top of that. And as Jasmine said, his PR been working overtime. I definitely just want to give him a hand clap for representing the culture and for making this money and knowing where the money reside. How do you feel about this? And do you feel like we can have some more CEOs in the tech world that are going to be hitting this milestone?
I'll start. So I work in the specific securities field. I'm a corporate attorney, and all I do is work with companies.
That's why we know you ain't getting no stimulus check.
I work with companies to get seed rounds of funding. I work with companies to take them public for IPOs. And so I'm not in the VC world, as in I'm not actually going out and earning or raising the money, but I am around all the documents, and I do see the inequities. I see that, 99% of the time, the person that's the CEO of the company, the CFO, the COO, the entire C-suite is filled with, one type of person. There are rules and white men. There are, California just passed a law saying that from now on, any company that wants to go public and it's based in California has to have some diversity on the board. So you have to have at least one woman, and they're trying to go even further and say one person of color, which is a great first step. When we talk about valuation and when we talk about entrepreneurs getting money in that realm, there's so many roadblocks. It's you start off from elementary school to middle school to high school. You don't necessarily have the friends that are also going to top colleges, that have the big money, that have the assets to put you in the right positions. So you could be the most intelligent person in the world, have the greatest idea, but the difference is Jimbo Bob over here, he went to school with individuals that are his friends that he can call upon and be like, hey, I know you're rich as well. Let me get $1 million seed funding for this good investment. And so there's a pipeline issue. And then there's also just when we get into those positions, the people don't like to see difference. So we look in the NFL right now, you don't even have Black head coaches.
Yep.
And they know we can play football. They know we know football, right? And they won't even hire us as head coaches. So there's the racist aspect. The only advice that I give to people that look like me is that you have to, and it's still sad, I think this is the area where in America you still have to work twice as hard to get half as much. You have to push through because it is racist, it is messed up, but you'll never get over the hump if we don't try. So, having crowdfunding in our own communities is great. Using our own platforms or using another, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's this platform, reach into your community, reach into your friends and try and go for it. And don't think that your idea isn't as great as this person over here. I'll leave you with this last quick point. There's somebody that created the pool noodle that's a millionaire, multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think oh man, I got to know rocket science to become a millionaire. No, somebody created a pool noodle, a foam noodle, and is a millionaire. Somebody created a Black man created a super soaker, and he's a multimillionaire. So
there we go. Well, go ahead.
I'll just chime in because I actually attended a webinar the other day, normalizing Black wealth and Black millionaires. And I learned that only 3% of VC dollars are of Black people and people of color. So I think that's the issue right there. And then as well as because of the structure of our community, white people have family offices. it's probably, I don't know how many per se Black people have family offices, and that's, Lawrence, you probably know better than me, but in my mind, family offices are the people that manage the wealth of the family. We don't have family wealth, and when we do have wealth, we're not pooling it together. So I think as we continue this conversation about money and saving and budgeting, it's important that we do pool our money and that we do pay attention to these startups and these VCs who do have Black dollars and want to invest in us, because they're out there. You just have to be able to navigate that space.
Definitely, definitely. And I'll say too, I know there was a meme that was floating around, and I see it on LinkedIn all the time because there's a lot of LinkedIn pride when people get jobs. But it definitely spelled out the fact that when you get a job at a big corporation and you announce it, everybody's thumbs up, hearts, likes, share. But when you say, "Oh, I just started a business," crickets.
Oh, not crickets.
Crickets. So I think
we're waiting for you to fail. Where
as a people, we need to be more conscientious of that. And I think it's a generational thing. We're not used to us owning companies and having businesses. And people, we just have this trigger in our head for whatever reason that blocks us from wanting to support our people when it comes to them owning businesses as opposed to owning a job. You know what I mean?
I think that's community based though, right? Because we did have Black Wall Street. We do have Atlanta right now. And then, I mean, y'all think I'm rich, but in my family in particular, my uncle had his own business, but then because of circumstances and because thinking that, oh, we just need this cash right now, my family sold the business. So it's also just understanding what money is going to do for you and making your money work for you instead of having money just sitting in an account collecting dust.
And stop selling grandma's house.
Stop selling grandma's house.
Stop.
Unless you're going to buy another house.
Period.
Well, I got to sell my grandma's house. I don't want no family fighting, but I get the point. I get the point.
You too.
They about to be. I'm not dealing with it. I don't want to be in the middle of that.
See, we're going to talk about that offline.
We're going to talk about that. Okay.
So, again, it is Black History Month. I'm going to throw it over to Christian because every episode we're going to be highlighting a particular person who is making history right now. So throw it over to you, Christian.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I guess it ties back into what we were talking about. Like you have generational wealth, but we're also thinking about generational advocacy. We're thinking about generational uplift in a way. And so I want to personally talk about Stacey Abrams being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. I think this is an amazing opportunity for us to recognize and appreciate Black women. For those that do not know, Stacey Abrams played a pivotal role, a vital role in fighting against voter suppression in Atlanta, in Georgia. I would say Atlanta, but in Georgia, when I think of Georgia, I think of Atlanta. But in Georgia in its entirety. And so she's been doing this since 2014, right? And so we think that she's just been doing it for the last 2-3 years, but she's been already putting in the work. And so I've been following her. I think that this is a great opportunity for us to recognize that and appreciate that. I'm so thankful and grateful for having the opportunity to go out there into Atlanta this past winter, I guess, end of December, early January, helping with the Warnock and Ossoff campaign. But that was because of Stacey Abrams, their team reaching out to people in Los Angeles and California. And, we came together, we made campaigns. And I think that right now it's just a great opportunity. I want to say also that I believe Patrisse Cullors is recognized too for the nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, Black Lives Matter. For this purpose, we are Black history in the making. And so a huge shout out to Stacey Abrams, her team, her PR team, all the people that's been really working behind the scenes that we don't even know about. And I personally would say that she's the Fannie Lou Hamer of this time.
Wow, definitely. I never thought of that before.
Right.
that was really good. So I do want to show a quick little clip in regards to Stacey Abrams. For those of you that don't know or haven't seen, you can go to Amazon and watch the documentary called All In, The Fight for Democracy. It really spells out her fight, what she went through, what people are going through, and really the boots on the ground to pretty much change the scope of the election in general. So we're just going to watch a couple minutes of that, just in case you don't know who Miss Stacey Abrams is.
The power of the right to vote is truly made available to everyone in America. it would change the future of this nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stacey Abrams!
When I started running for governor, we anticipated that voter suppression was going to be instrumental in Ryan's campaign, and we were right.
We've been in line for 5 hours.
They said you've already voted. Looks like several days ago. No, I would have remembered that.
Thousands of people were told no and didn't have the authority to demand better.
These lines are insane. We had precinct consolidation, non-training of local election officials.
I knew something had gone horribly wrong. The system that is supposed to protect our democracy didn't work the way it was supposed to.
States implement voter suppression laws all across the country.
Things like new voter ID laws, purging. You're knocked off the roll. Gerrymandering.
Changing the voting boundaries.
Ohio is a use it or lose it state.
In the United States, the right to vote is the only right you can lose simply for not using it.
Jim Crow 2.0. That's what we're saying. We've got a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. And just from the trailer, I'm like, oh my gosh. it's so much information. And again, we talk about it on the show constantly, how we need to know who our local representatives are. We need to, be more like Christian and be advocates for voting and helping others to vote, because they definitely disenfranchise Black people from their right to vote. And Stacey Abrams put a flashlight. She put all kinds of lights on this issue to where people didn't really know what was really truly going on. I was disappointed that she didn't win her gubernatorial race, but I think in a way it was bittersweet because she was able to focus and really highlight this particular issue, because I do believe she was robbed of that. And I'm just waiting for her to get a cabinet seat. And we're gonna watch it do it.
I think she will.
She's a modern day hero. She deserves one.
Definitely think she will. No, I just, she's asking, do we think she'll get a cabinet seat? Do you think she'll get a cabinet seat?
She's not going to get what she wants. She deserves the cabinet seat. There are some positions like you don't want to be, and it sounds arrogant from me way down here, but I'm like, when you've done this much for the community, when you're this big of a name, you don't just want to be, chair of education or something. You want like some real position. You want Secretary of State or something. So I don't know if she'll get that. I hope she will. I think the Stacey Abrams situation highlights, of course, voter suppression, but it highlights something else in our community, and that's this level of misogyny. When women are up for these powerful positions, there's always just a couple percentage points that they can't get past, and that men need to look in the mirror and say, why is that? It's just sad to me. It's sad that, even looking at Hillary Clinton, and looking at Hillary, looking at other powerful women, and that's why we're so happy for Kamala, and hopefully she gets the chance to be president one day, because it's vice president is kind of a feeder position. But it's still, we live in a society where women don't have equal rights or equal opportunities, and it's sad.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I was going to echo what Lawrence was saying, is that there is a level of misogyny, and I think that this door with Harris being VP is going to open up a whole new level, playing field. And so it's interesting to just learn about Abrams and her journey, and understand that even 151 years later, right, when the 15th Amendment was passed, we're able to vote. You mean to tell me 150 years later, we're still dealing with voting suppression? We're still dealing with all these issues? Like, it's ridiculous. And it goes back and it ties back into America's history. And as much as we like to not say, it still goes from slavery. I'm like, keep on saying it. It's still from slavery. And these are the disparities and inequities that it has fallen upon us. So I definitely think that with Abrams, with Harris, with all these Black women that have paved the way, that it's time for them to actually get the accolades. Give them their flowers, as my grandmother would say. Give them their flowers while they're still living. And I think that this is a great opportunity for America to appreciate, Black women. It's always been told Black women are viewed as the bottom of the totem pole, but I believe that we're rising, right? You guys are rising. Y'all are rising. And there's an opportunity for that. And you can speak of it as Black women. You can let us know your perspective as well.
Jasmine?
On what part? On Black women being great? I mean, yes, I 100% believe it.
Thank you.
Salute to my sister Cherie. I'm excited for Stacey. I think that her career is just getting started. I think it's interesting seeing, and I know was running for governor, but it's just interesting to me to see all these seats in the Senate going to women now. All the conversation has been around women in Congress, even that lady Marjorie girl. It's women are just rising. It's the time of the woman, the age of the Aquarius. It's feminine energy. Love it. So I'm excited.
Definitely. I think it's interesting too what you said, Lawrence, and this just popped in my head when I asked about her having a cabinet seat, and I thought about good old Bernie was just awarded, I should say, the chair of committee chair of budget.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think he's the perfect person for it. And you know, I don't look at it as like a lower level position compared to where he could have been. I know it kind of sucks. We all love Bernie, but I think he can be very impactful in that position. And so I would say, you know, in terms of Stacey Abrams, if she had a position, maybe they need to create a new role for her, period, because she's in her own lane. I think that would be amazing. So we'll see what happens. We're going to keep your eyes on Miss Stacey, and we hope she wins this Nobel Peace Prize. I also heard Jared Kushner.
Girl, yes.
I'll say one thing. I think that when it comes to, a friend asked me this yesterday. She reached out and she said, how do you protect Black women when you're not around them, right? And I think, you know, there's several different things, being an ally, you know, taking the extra step. But I just want to leave like one gem for our audience. I want everybody to know, from a legal standpoint, in 2021, it is not constitutionally protected for women to have equal rights. It's constitutionally protected for Black men and white men and, you know, a whole bunch of other orientations, but women still do not have equal rights under the Constitution in the United States of America. And that's not a women issue. That's an American issue. That's an issue that's on all of us. And that when we talk about regulation, when we talk about reform, that should be one of the issues that we push for. And it shouldn't just have to be women. It should be us, everybody pushing for that.
Amen. Definitely. Well, I just want to get into this money topic because, you know, we all came here to talk about where the money reside, where the money reside. Y'all not doing the dance with me this time. So, where the money reside, part 2. Last week, if you missed it, please go back and watch our last episode. We had 2 amazing young ladies, speaking of Black women that are just bosses and running things, that spoke with us about loans for your business, being an entrepreneur, as well as franchisees, which I got to go back and write some notes because it was a wealth of knowledge. This week, we want to talk about perhaps not my favorite topic, I'll be honest, budgeting and saving. This was a very needed topic, especially now, as we mentioned, we waiting on these stimulus checks. Perhaps some people, Lawrence, aren't, you know, struggling that much because, you know, they have some savings and some Bitcoins and some other things stacked up. I don't know. But yes, I just want to throw it out there. I know Jasmine had a couple of little gems that she mentioned on our Instagram about budgeting and saving. So I'll throw it to you, Jasmine.
So speaking of women in Congress, amen. Shout out to Liz Warren. She popularized the 50-20-30 rule. So I want to talk to you guys about that a little bit. If you all kind of abide by that structure where it's 50% your needs. So that's rent, that's food, that's whatever else, your medicine. 20% goes to your savings and paying off debts. And then 30 goes to your wants. I think we can do like a little 25, I don't know. We can split that a little bit up. But what is your take on saving, and how do you all manage your money? Or do you? And before I let you all talk, I just want to say I asked for money tips on my Instagram stories and only one person responded to me. Shout out to Keon. And he said, out of the 22 people who watched the story, and he said, just live below your means, which I think that's a little bit unrealistic. It's expensive out here.
It is.
It is.
I'll say I had a conversation with a wonderful couple who we're more than likely going to have on next week. They have a company that focuses on financial wellness, and the husband asked me a question. He said, "What is your relationship with money?" And when he asked it, and it was so, it rocked me, to be completely honest, because I was like, "What is my relationship with money?" I said, "That is a very loaded question." When it comes to savings and budgeting, I'll be completely honest, I'm not the best. I always make sure my bills get paid, but I'm also in the creative world. And I think creatives particularly kind of live freely, and we kind of go with the flow, and we don't know what's going to happen next. And, I had heard a quote. I always wondered to myself, did Oprah have a 401k? And does she need it?
She got her off.
So if I have these big goals and these big plans, and I know I'm going to be this person that's going to have wealth, and I'm going to be able to share that with my family, in my mind, I was like, I don't need this 401k because I'm going to always be doing what I love. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to be like Cicely Tyson, and I'm going to still be doing what I love until the day I die. So I don't know, maybe I'm just not thinking of things correctly, and I know I could be better, but I don't know. That's
so I think we save for accidents, right? Because we never know what happens. You can say you want to work until you're 96, like Cicely, but what if you break your leg or get it amputated or something that just prevents you from working, right? Yeah. I mean, you can do an internet job, some e-commerce. However, it's like you have to have something set aside just for me to feel, or I have to have something set aside to feel comfortable. Whether that's I try to keep 3 months. That's not realistic all the time. But
I want to hear from the guys, but I have another quote that I've often heard people say, like, I can't afford to save. People feel as though they can't afford to save. How can you put away some savings if you're living literally check by check, day to day, month by month? So I'm just curious if you guys have any recommendations for those people, and especially right now, because we all waiting on this stimulus check still.
I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna let Lawrence finish it. Because Lawrence is better at saving. So for for myself, I've always two things. The first thing is it takes money to make money. So in order for us to really create that generational wealth that we're talking about, your credit score is going to have to be a little bit, up to par. I'm still working on mine. Credit Karma, please come through. However, you have to create this balance of really taking care of your financials, right? And so the second thing is understanding how money works and money operates. So for myself in the Black church, we were taught 10% to God, 10% to yourself, and then you live off the rest. And as I look, and that was when I was younger. So now as a about to be 35-year-old man, I can't say it again.
I was like, okay, that's 20%. Got it.
10%, and then the rest, 80%, to whatever you want to do. Now, I like to travel. I like food. I like, nice things. That's just me. I rather spend my money on experiences versus, saving. And I'm not a big business person. However, as we are growing and developing into whatever we're trying to become, ultimately, it is physically responsible for us to really look into this spirit of entrepreneurship. And that incorporates us saving, budgeting. So now I'm learning, okay, I can't eat out like I want to 7 days a week. Okay, I might have to cook a couple of days, 3 to 5 days a week. And my food is not bad. I know how to cook. I'm lazy, I don't know, but I'm lazy. So I want to go out and eat. I also want to support my Black businesses. That's my reasoning. We're not really saving the money. However, I am realizing that by any means necessary. So I bank at One United Bank. I live in Lancaster. It's a straight savings account. Don't give me an ATM card. I don't want to touch it unless it's an emergency. So I'm not about to drive an hour and a half to go, take out some money unless it's really an emergency. Creating those different accounts and learning how to budget them a little bit. That's what I've learned. And so I've seen my credit score rise. I've seen my, having some extra money in my pocket, being able to bless different people. And it's just about our changing our perspective of finances. We have come from different backgrounds. Like you said earlier, Sharik, being Black is not monolithic. So my family, my grandparents didn't teach us about Black wealth. And it's not their fault. They're from New Orleans, they're from the South, and they were dealing with the Great Migration. However, for this next generation, we about that paper, right? We about that money. So how do we keep that paper and actually create that generational wealth that we are alluding to throughout these series? And I'll leave it right there.
Before we go to Lawrence, I do want to show this comment. What we want to do and what we must do are usually all different things. And I wanted to show this comment because lucrative photography, Chris, I have another show called Limelight. She came on. She's amazing when it comes to business and money. And I learned so much from her, even just watching her, how she moved. She bought a house, she has her businesses, and she's just, all there. And I know I saw her sacrifice. So that's why I wanted to really show her comment, because there is a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. But then, Lawrence, I'm waiting because I know you got some gems.
So I think it's very important. I got to start all the way at the beginning. I think when we talk about financial wellness in our community, sometimes we need tough love. And maybe I'm just a stickler, but we can all say it. All we do is sit around and make excuses. And that's everybody. No one's perfect. No one saves as much as they should. No one is perfect with their finances. But I feel like your first two steps are this. One, stop making excuses for yourself. There is never a situation where you cannot save. Saving is about percentages. It's not totals. If you have $10 that you made that week, you can put away 10 cents. That discipline is what's going to get you to the next level. I've had ups and downs financially throughout my life. My parents didn't have a lot of money. They were not good at managing money. My grandparents or business owners, so they had money. So I got to see from a distance people that manage money, and up close people that didn't. And what I'll say is that, just again, it's really taboo in our community when somebody is good at money managing, when they're good at finances. It's like, oh, you can't talk about it. And I feel like that's what's also detrimental for our community. Talk about it. I'll tell anybody, like, hey, I have a savings, I have a Roth IRA, I have ETFs that I invest in, and every single day of my life, I'm thinking about other investment techniques. I literally got off the phone yesterday looking at properties in Texas of trying to have small investments. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has a whole bunch of money to invest. I'm saying where it starts with that percentage. It starts with taking 10% of your income, no matter what it is, and put it away. That's the first step. Once you get that discipline, once you start making more money, you'll have more to save, and then you'll have more to invest. So to me, that's the ultimate step one. Step two is this. We all want to do different things. We all want to go out and have parties and kick it and everything. I realized that at a young age, I wanted money so that I could have money, because money to me equaled a level of security in my life. I've been broke. I know what it's like to sleep in a car. I know what it's like to not have food on the table. So I don't want money to buy a Gucci belt. I don't want money to go on vacation. I don't want money to kick it. I don't want money for a watch. I want money so that I can have money, so that I have security. So if I have a health emergency, when your priorities are straight like that, it's a little easier for me to wake up in the morning and be like, yeah, I could afford to go on this trip. I could afford to do this, but I'm not going to do it because it's important for my long-term stability. And then the gym number 3 is just ask questions. Like, I lived most of my life. I'm 33 years old now. I didn't know what an ETF was until a year ago. And I literally am a securities lawyer. I went to law school and still did not understand stocks and bonds. I had to learn it on the road after 30 years old. And now you can invest in it. So don't feel intimidated. Ask questions, take your time, learn more, and then keep going. And that's why I love the whole the stock market valuations right now, and it's an influx, because it's bringing attention to it. And people are saying, hey, what is a short? How do I get involved with GameStop? How do I buy a stock? Oh, I can go on Cash App. I can go on Robinhood. So again, I want to just summarize it. 1, make sure you save. 2, make sure that you're living below your means. Just like the comment that we got, no matter what. My rent is 6% of my total income. I will never let my rent be more than 10% of my income. I will live in a car. I will live in a trailer home before my rent, my housing expenses is more. And that's a choice that we made. And I'm going to be honest with you. Like, you want to talk about the good shit. I graduated from undergrad and was still homeless and lived in a car, because I was like, you know what? I don't have the money that I need right now. I know I want to go to law school. I know I want to do these other things. It's going to cost a lot of money. So let me sleep in a car. I don't care who knows. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got to be by myself. I can't go to all the clubs every night or whatever. Let me do what it takes to be financially stable later on. And I think you need to hear empowering stories like that. When we talked about Tyler Perry earlier, Tyler Perry lived in his car, lived in his studio in an old shack in a church for years and saved and reinvested and saved and reinvested. So we can all do it no matter how poor you are. Again, I don't care if you have $10, save $1, ask questions, and live below your means. And I feel like those are the building blocks. And then from there, I have plenty of stock tips, different instruments to make money. I got plenty of those, but those first 3 steps I feel like the most important.
Can I ask y'all a question then? Jasmine, Lawrence and Jasmine and Sharik, is there a difference between budgeting and saving? Or is that the same thing?
I think they're different. And
go ahead.
Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say, so a lot of what I heard from Lawrence was about pride. So, question: do you all use coupons?
Or like, I want to answer Christian's question really quick. I want to answer Christian's question really quick. When I think of budgeting, I think of this is the money that I have, right? This is the money that I have, and as Lawrence said, 10% or less than 10. They technically less than 10% is supposed to be what your rent is, right? So you know, okay, my budget for the month is X amount of dollars because I make something fell in my house. See, the devil is a liar.
They should be.
That sounded dangerous.
Something just fell in my house. See, that means I'm talking about something very impactful. But going back to that, so to me, savings and budgeting are not the same thing.
Okay.
We're just gonna do that. Chris said OMG. I don't know what.
You see this, I mean, it's kind of built into save now, right? Like I use Capital. Every dollar that I spend goes to another, like I think the remainder goes to a bank that I don't touch. Wells Fargo, they have the Save As You Go program. So it's not that difficult if you just are intentional.
Yeah, I would say one of the tools that I really like that I use is Acorns. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, Acorns is really dope because I set it and forget it. I don't think about it. And what they do is you can set an amount that you want them to take each month, and then they will also round up your spending to the next dollar. And whatever that amount is that goes up to the next dollar, they put that into this account. So that's one of the really good tools that I like to use. I know there's some other apps that are out there. I don't know what you guys like to do, but I personally love Acorns. There's another, there was like a meme that was going around where people are breaking down how to save $5,000 in 1 year. You would start week 1 saving $20. Week 2, you would put to the side $35. Week 3, and so on and so forth. And when you add all of this up, it ends up being $5,000. So it's definitely something really cool that you can kind of do with your friends, with your family, and send that around. So I'll definitely share that with you guys as well if you're interested. But definitely look into some of these apps. People are our age, millennials, they're making apps for our predicaments, for what we have to go through and what we're dealing with, because we're not like the boomers. You know, our parents and our grandparents, they, you know, so to speak, they had the luxury lifestyle because they didn't have the cost of living that we do. You know, and that's very important. And that's why you see people migrating to the South and migrating to the suburbs and all these things. And Lawrence, I don't know where you live.
Right.
But, you know, here in Los Angeles, it's very difficult. So you just kind of got to weigh the pros and the cons.
Well, let's break it down. So I pay 6% of my like total yearly earnings on rent, but that's because of 2 things. One, I have a good job now, but also I'm splitting rent. A lot of people want to live alone. I don't get it. Like, I don't get this. And you said it too, Jasmine, pride. Like, if I could live alone in the car, I could for sure split it with somebody. People be like, nah, people get on my nerves, you know. I need to live alone. No, you don't. If you need to share a room, share a room. You know what I'm saying? Stack your money up. Have a plan. Have a goal. Take your time. Don't worry about following the Joneses. Do what you got to do to get it. Again, piggybacking on like my foundational 3 steps, everybody like has their own like financial guru or whatever. I follow Gary V on Instagram. I've read a couple of his books and I love his energy, right? He's always, if you don't know, his name is Gary Vanderesh. You can Google him, Gary V. And he has a lot of tips to making money. He'll tell you the same thing. Live below your means. Don't care what other people say. and do what you have to do. Sharik, you touched on it. We live in a gig economy now. We're not in a situation like our parents were, where you could go to get a good manual labor job, have a pension, have savings, and all of that. So if you got to go to the flea market on a Sunday morning in between jobs and buy some teddy bears and sell them on eBay, if you need to have the old school lemonade stand, like, put your pride aside and get your money. I will walk out today and sell socks if I had to. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. These eyes that you may think you have on you that are stopping you from being successful, it's really just yourself. Go out there and get it, man. Get it.
Yeah.
You can see I'm super passionate when it comes to money. Money's one of my favorite topics because I don't care if it's $1 or $10. Just the excitement that I get, I see it from a glass half full perspective. The excitement that I get of getting another dollar wakes me up every morning because you could share, you could do so many things with it. Don't let yourself start to feel down. And we have to understand that we have a lot of emotional traumas in our families. So I have other friends that are like, hey, I never check my bank account because my parents, their home got foreclosed on. We didn't talk about money in my household. Or every time money was brought up, it was an argument or a fight. So sometimes it's not just you. Sometimes it is like a psychological barrier that's stopping you there. But take those baby steps to get help, talk to people about it, because you're never going to get where you want to go financially unless you're constantly focused on your finances. So if you know you're a person with that block, take the baby steps to help yourself.
I agree. Check your accounts every day. Do y'all check your accounts every day?
Every day.
3 times.
Yeah. As soon as I wake up, right? Yeah, there you go.
Comes to my
So I'm curious, I shared my tools. What are some of the tools that you guys use to help you save or keep track of your budget, so to speak?
Fear. I'm always afraid I'm gonna be broke again. So for me, like, every day I wake up, I'm like, man, this job is cool and everything, but I might not have it tomorrow. I don't know. I might break a leg. You know what I'm saying? I might break a hand. So fear for me makes me like, I need to save every time I get a paycheck, every time I get some money. But also there is an application called Betterment. They have an award-winning platform that allows you to invest in an ETF, which is called an exchange traded fund. It's like a mutual fund. It's really easy to do. It takes 5 minutes to set up. You put your money in, and these funds are some of the most successful over the years. So you can look back over like 10 years, and the fund has increased over 100%. So that to me is more like a savings account. So if I just have some petty cash around, I'm not going to keep it in a traditional savings account and get 1% interest. I'll put it in this. It's called Betterment. It's on the Apple iStore or whatever, and it averages 7 to 8% interest a year. So
awesome. That's awesome. I'm with Sharik on the Acorns right now. I got different apps. I'm really involved in stocks right now, just trying to get my feet wet. I don't care if it's $50, $20, $100, $200. I'm just putting stuff away, just creating these different savings accounts so that, I don't touch them. If it's in my bank account, this is my problem. I like to spend. That's why I don't have cash on myself on my hand either. But I have learned, though, if you do have cash on, it's a little bit easier than using your card. So I know that's a remedy. But I also, I've been just trying to really become more financially aware in everything that I'm doing and what I'm saving. And with that Acorns, I like that spend up. So when you're spending at these different, they're just putting money back into your savings, and it helps you in the long run. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And they also have stock options and things like that as well.
Jasmine asked if I cut coupons. I'll bring you back to some more history for me. I love telling my early stories. So when I was a kid, I was on food stamps, and I'm not talking about the EBT card. I'm talking about the one in the booklet. So I used to have to go to the grocery store, and if you didn't have the food stamps in the booklet, those people would try to embarrass you. Yeah, they would put me on the speaker. Excuse me, food stamps on aisle 3. I don't know how to do food stamps. So I had all my pride left at like 8 years old when I had to go with the food stamp booklet and be the only black dude in the whole area at Safeway with some food stamps. From then, I don't care what people think about me. Also, another quick tip is that I have credit cards that I use religiously, but I use my credit card like a debit card. My credit cards, my better ones, have 2% cash back. So I pay my rent with that. I pay my car note with that. I use them just about every day, and I immediately pay them off. So I pay 0% interest because I never let them collect interest. and I'm getting 2% back on everything. Now you may not think it's a lot, but when you pay all your rent and your car note and everything, that 2% is another $1,000 I save a year from doing nothing.
That's smart.
So there are little like tips and tricks like that that can help you here and there. $1,000 here, $500 there. I remember in college, we would get our refund checks. I couldn't hear what you say, Jasmine. Okay, so in college, we would get our refund checks, right? So you get like 4,000 or 5,000 at the beginning of the semester. What I would do is I would take that $7,000 and I would invest it into like Chase would have a promotion or some promotion. They would have promotions where you can put your money in for 2 or 3 months and they give you $200 or $300. So I'll be like, cool, I'll just take $300 from Chase this month. And then next time I get my refund check, I'll do the same thing at this other Ally Bank. They gave me $500 one time just for moving your money around. Always look for those type of opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to say the devil is a liar today. We're having connection issues. My whole everything on my wall just fell down out of nowhere. I've had it up for 5 years, and I don't know what just happened, so I'm gonna have to go take care of this. But it means that we're powerful, and we got some energy revving up talking about this money. They don't want us to win, but we are going to win. So definitely, I just wanted to, we're talking about money in Black History Month. Please make sure you tune in next week. Did anybody have any final words before we sign out?
Be great. Be great. You do.
Be great. Reach out. Like if anybody wants to reach out to me, I got, a ton of tips, advice, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure people have advice for me. If you watch the show and you've seen the guests that we have on, I reach out to them afterwards. We had Vermel. He's somebody that sells real estate in Texas.
Yeah, he was great.
Still reach out to him. Reach out to people, ask questions, ask for help. That's what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah, and on that.
Oh, y'all back. I see y'all again.
Well, on that tip, we want to let everybody go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Please come back next week because we're going to be talking about relationships and money. And that, things get real tricky right about there. So please make sure you are also following us, _network on Instagram. Let us know if you have any additional tips that you can provide to us because we want to keep knowing where the money resides. So thank you guys. We'll see you next week.